What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. Hope everybody's staying safe out there. Going to have a few topics I'm going to talk about in this video. A couple small topics. Going to kind of combine them into one. Figured I'd pop out on the deck, get a different change of scenery. Just want to let you guys know I will be live tonight with Kid Blue for a couple hours as I continue to do that. Have a different Giants YouTuber on the channel for a couple hours just to talk and answer some of your guys' questions. In addition to that, a new thing I'm going to start doing, you're going to have to follow me on Instagram at Entertainer. It's just easier for me to organize it that way. I'm going to start having subscribers pop on the channel via video chat. I'll explain the details today in my video on Instagram. But in this video, I'm going to jump into some topics that have come out over the last 24 hours regarding the New York Giants. One's going to be about Daniel Jones and how he's performed under pressure according to Next Gen Stats in his rookie year. And it was a pretty impressive article, and some of the names that were on that list that he was with was pretty cool. Going to jump into some of the numbers that he was able to produce under pressure. Also going to talk about some other things, including the Deandre Baker situation. Article came out today by the Daily News that basically came out and said that the New York Giants are not actively seeking a replacement for Deandre Baker in free agency, or at least a guy that could fill in for depth in case he's ruled in case he's ruled guilty in the case, or in case the Giants decide to move on. And I'll give my opinion on that. In addition to that, I also wanted to kind of just go over some of the things that Joe Judge has had to overcome as a head coach for the New York Giants. Article came out today that yesterday the New York Giants dedicated their entire meeting to the George Floyd situation and kind of just talked about the job that Joe Judge did addressing the team and trying to bring the team together. There were several players on the team that came out and said that they thought that Joe Judge has handled this situation masterfully. So just really encouraging things about Joe Judge. But first, I'm going to start with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, really impressive stuff. Next Gen Stats came out with a list of the top 10 quarterbacks and how they performed under pressure last year, and Daniel Jones ranked in the top 10. He came in at number 10, was the only rookie on that list. He had a passer rating, I think, of 74 under pressure with 8 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, which is very encouraging. Of course, Daniel Jones had a lot of practice. The New York Giants did not have a very good offensive line. He had over 1,000 yards under pressure last year, of which he threw for, and I think he had, that's almost a third of his yards that he was under pressure, which is encouraging based on the fact that you figure the New York Giants improved that offensive line, and hopefully he's not under as much pressure as he was last year. And there were a lot of very impressive quarterbacks on that list. One quarterback I don't believe was on it, and I could be wrong. I don't think Pat Mahomes was on there. Lamar Jackson was on there. Surprisingly, Ryan Tannehill was number 1. You had guys like Matt Stafford on there, Matt Ryan, Dak Prescott. There were a number of other veterans. Josh Allen was on there, I think, at number 9. But I just thought it was impressive that Daniel Jones, in his rookie year, a year where a quarterback would typically struggle, I would think in a metric like that, there were no other rookies to be seen at the top of the list, would be in the top 10. This coming out, after, we saw that he performed well in terms of accuracy on deep ball throws. So I think things like this are showing you that Daniel Jones definitely has the ability and tools to be a very good quarterback at the NFL level if he could fix some of the problems that he already has. But, that was something that Eli Manning was very good at. We always talked about how good he was under pressure. Well, the fact that Daniel Jones ranked in the top 10 in the league overall under pressure, I thought was really good stuff, very encouraging stuff going forward, and hopefully that should only improve with a better offensive line, and he doesn't have to face pressures as frequently as he did last year, but definitely did a great job in that aspect. Also, wanted to jump into the Deandre Baker situation and give my thoughts on that. Report came out today about the Daily News basically saying that the New York Giants are not actively, looking to acquire cornerbacks on the open market, and there's definitely a lot of, talented corners that were still out there, or at least big names. Prince Amukamara, the former Giant, just signed a contract. Eli Apple, I believe, just signed with the Carolina Panthers. You still have guys like Logan Ryan out there, along with a number of others that I've mentioned in other videos before. But the Giants are not actively seeking to bring any of those guys in. To me, this indicates that the New York Giants probably more than likely think that Deandre Baker will be ruled innocent. I think it also indicates that more than likely, almost certainly, the New York Giants plan to have him back, and I don't think they plan to penalize him in any way if he's ruled innocent. And I think they probably think that the NFL will not suspend him. That's the only thing that would make rational sense to me, being that you would have to rely on some guys that are thought to be slot corners on the outside if that were not the case, or the injury-riddled Sam Beal. But it seems as if the New York Giants are committed to the cornerbacks that they have on this football team, and they're committed to the rebuild. You know, I did a video on this yesterday about the New York Giants secondary. It's an incredibly talented secondary in the sense that, you know, they've brought in guys that were thought to be the best at their positions over the last couple of drafts, at the safety, at the corner, at the slot corner position, but they're young and they're underdeveloped. But it seems as if the Giants are committed to building up that young secondary and getting them some experience after these reports have come out that they're not looking to bring in any veteran leaders, at least as of now. They're not actively seeking it. Maybe they're just waiting for the case to play out, but the longer you wait, the higher probability that some of these guys will sign. So it leads me to believe that the New York Giants probably think that Deandre Baker will be back with this football team this year and will not be, facing any prison time, which is encouraging things. Deandre Baker, I think, is one of the most important players on this team this year. I've said it countless times. In a defense that they're going to run and a defense that's going to blitz as frequently as the New York Giants will be blitzing this year, I think it's imperative that Deandre Baker is out on the football field and does a good job. I think he will. I do think he fits this system much better than the Betcher scheme. I think the second year, I think he's going to be a better pro. He showed glimpses last year of having the ability to be a good corner. We all know how well he did at Georgia when used the proper way. Didn't surrender a touchdown over his last 2 years. We'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. But of course, Deandre Baker will have to become a much, harder worker to take that next step forward. Cannot be falling asleep in meetings and things like that. But hopefully this is a wake-up call. We've seen the videos of him working out in the offseason, doing a good job with that. So hopefully it's a wake-up call, and hopefully he's ready to put his hard hat on for Joe Judge and the New York Giants. And then finally, I wanted to touch on Joe Judge and really some of the obstacles that he's had to overcome as a head coach for the New York Giants since taking over this role. I read the article this morning about him, and don't mind the dogs barking in the background. I heard an article this morning, read an article this morning about Joe Judge and his dealing with the George Floyd situation and the players coming out and giving him credit for how he handled it and everything else. And when you really think of what Joe Judge has had to overcome as a head coach before even taking the field, not even a preseason game, not even a practice. This guy's 38 years old. He's had this whole situation with George Floyd. He's had the pandemic. He's had the court case with Deandre Baker. One of the biggest names on this football team. He's had to overcome a lot of obstacles for this New York Giants team. Obviously, it wasn't a normal draft in his rookie season. He has a brand new coaching staff, and it just leads me to believe with some of the things that have come out about the way he's handled all of these situations, I think he's going to do a great job with the New York Giants. I really do believe that. I think he's going to be a great head coach. But the proof is in the pudding. We'll see how they do when they're out on the football field, but everybody needs to remember that this team is young, that they're learning new systems, and they haven't had the proper time to be able to learn it. The Giants have started to get back to the facility. Dave Gettleman showed up, I think, a couple of days ago. Judge is still not there. I think it's only 15 to 20 members. They're going to start to slowly bring them back, and I think training camp will start on time, at least from some things I've read. Obviously, things could change, but as of now, it looks like they will be back at the end of July with training camp. Don't expect, mandatory mini camps, things like that. Also read that the virtual meetings will be ending, I think in a week. June 12th, if I remember correctly, will be the last day for virtual meetings. Another thing that Joe Judge has organized very properly, and the players seem to love it. They seem to be buying in. It's a young team. They're hungry. And we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. But the more I read and hear about Joe Judge and how he's a leader for this football team, the more I start to like him. I'm excited for this New York Giants football team this year. I think they're going to do a great job, and I think they're headed in the right direction. But I'm not going to set my expectations too high for a first-year head coach who's only 38 years old. But I love everything I'm hearing about Joe Judge. I really do. I'm incredibly excited about him. As far as the Deandre Baker situation goes, that's my thoughts on it. I think Deandre Baker will be the starter for the New York Giants week 1. Of course, we don't know how long this, the court case is going to take. We've read that he's going to be allowed to go to New Jersey to practice with the football team. We're going to have to take a wait and see approach with that. But like I've said now countless times after the fact, Now that all the evidence has been presented, you've heard all the witnesses have backed out, the New York Giants are not seeking other cornerbacks. I think Deandre Baker is going to be the starting cornerback for this football team this year. And as far as Daniel Jones, just more and more encouraging things. PFF came out with an article basically saying that he's not that high of a projection to be a good quarterback, so they continue to bash him. I didn't speak on that. But the next-gen stats pointing to the way that he's been able to handle pressure and the fact that he was in the top 10 as just a rookie speaks volumes. So just want to get a quick video up discussing all those topics, and hopefully I see some of you guys tonight, and we'll see if I make another video before the end of the day. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.